Hey everybody, Andy Teague here, along with my good buddy Brian Bretsch, either on my left or on my right, as I always say, here at Bird Brain 66. We are here to discuss the 1966 Cardinals, the 1966 Topps baseball card set. And the reason we chose this set is because we were both born in 1966. And so this card set is 55 years old, if you can do the math, just like we incredibly have to do this math now. And we are going to be 55 years old this week. So this is our birthday bash card celebration. Brian, give me some of your thoughts on this wonderful set.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, happy birthday in advance. Our birthdays are exactly one day apart, which adds just to the legend of our friendship. But anyway, so yeah, 598 cards in the entire top series from 1966. High numbers started right around card number 523 in my research. Several Cardinals are in this in the high numbers, which we were talking about prior to recording. Some of the high numbers are short prints and some are not. Two of the really difficult Cardinal cards are our good buddy Art Mahaffey at card number 570. He's a short print. And the other one that seems to make everybody pull their hair out in terms of trying to complete their collection is another high number. And that's the Brooklyn's featuring Joe Horner, Jimmy Williams, and George Kernick at first base. So never heard of the middle guy. Don't know whatever happened to him, but we know that Jimmy Williams went on to coach the Blue Jays for a while, and Joe Horner had quite the career for the Cardinals as well as his post-career. He spent a lot of time working in the Cardinal organization with them hand in hand. So it's a decent set. I wish it had a little bit more flash from 1966, but kind of a little bit ho-hum. But those are just some of the quick highlights for me. What are some of your highlights or your favorite cards from this set?
Well, we talked a little bit about that before. So obviously, Mr. Baseball, always a favorite of mine, and that's the last iteration of Mr. Euchre with the Cardinals in this particular set. Also, another one, because, we'd had this discussion previously about, what belongs in your set and what doesn't belong in your team set. But we always include these leader cards. And the reason I like this card is because you got Mr. Gibson and Mr. Koufax on there. And also Bob Vio, who was a, excellent pitcher in his own right. So a lot of people forget about him. So I want to give him a good shout out as well. Pretty significant year for the Cardinals, not record-wise. They were 83-79, finished in sixth place. And if you go back and look at how the divisions were divided up, there were only the American League, National League, and two divisions in each league at that particular time. So being in sixth place was not a good place to be at that particular time. But for the Cardinals, they actually played in two different stadiums that year. And the Busch Stadium 2 actually opened May 12th, 1966. And because I always like to give a little pop culture, the Beatles also played at Busch Stadium in August of that year. And it was August 21st of that year. It had 11 songs in 30 minutes, and all the fans were drenched in rain. So throw out a shout out to the Beatles because of the Beatles anyway.
Definitely, always good.
Oh, I forgot. And the All-Star game was also played in the new Busch Stadium at that time. And the National League won 2-1, and Gaylord Perry was the winning pitcher. So there's a little bit of a history along with the set we're talking about. Sorry, Brian, didn't mean to take all that up, but I did want to mention some of that stuff.
No, mentioning all of that is great. And you'd mentioned Gaylord Perry. I'll just throw this little tidbit out there. In the high number series, Gaylord is probably, if it's not him, it's Willie McCovey that are two of the toughest short print high numbers in the 66 team set. So before you talked about the team leader card. I love that. Great. When people ask, well, you only collect Cardinals, you don't have the Sandy Koufax card. I'm like, well, yes, I do. 1966, yeah. Andy just showed it to you. So that's that's my workaround on some of the superstars. But right. Here's what I'm going to show. And we talked about this at the top of the show, or right before we started recording. So why in the heck would Andy and Brian talk about Alex Johnson, member of the Philadelphia Phillies. He's in a Phillies uniform. Why is that considered a must in your collection? Well, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not, but if you look at the back of the card at the very bottom, it talks about how Alex was traded to the Cardinals on October 27th, 1965. So as soon as it mentions that there was a trade, and before they did the dirty caps, as Andy's referred to with the Photoshop, the easier way for Topps back in the day was to just simply put on the back, Alex traded to the Cardinals, October 27th, 1965. So in my eyes, and I know you're going to agree with this, is this a must to have in your collection, Andy?
Oh, definitely, because he was referred to as being with the Cardinals at that particular time. I'm glad you brought that up because the traded statement is used throughout that 66 set. And so you'll see cards with and without the traded statement on there. So don't be confused if you go to a card show, go out on eBay, and they're what they call the variations, and you'll either have the traded statement or don't. So don't be worried about that. Another one of mine is obviously because one of my dad's favorite guys, Julian Javier, which was almost my birth name. So always got to give a shout out to any card of his.
And that's probably my most. If it's not him, then we've talked about it. If it's not Julian, then it's Tim McCarver.
Yeah.
In terms of having the best posed photo, I really do like that Julio as Harry Carey used to say, "That's my dog." That's what makes this fun about doing live recordings that you can hear my dog.
I thought it was like Sherlock Holmes and the Hounds of Baskerville. So,
there you go. Nice reference. But anyway, so that they probably have the two best posed McCarver and Julian. So who else is in here that you really, really like?
Well, you brought up the McCarver card, and obviously another person to always give a shout out to anytime he's in a set is Mr. Red Shandy. So, love anytime that he's featured on a card. So another one, and obviously you got Brock Gibson, and the usual guys in that mid 60 range there. I guess we could bring up Mr. Brock. We can't do without that.
Yep, very cool.
Yep.
So one of the things that we talked about pre-recording, now that my dog has settled down and you can hopefully hear me now, this happens to me when I do live radio interviews for my real job. But this one is one of my all-time favorites of Mike Shannon, because I have absolutely no idea what the man was doing when they walked up and said, "Hey, Mike, I'm representing Topps baseball cards. Love to get a photo of you." I don't know if it doesn't even look like a follow swing. It looks like he's getting ready to do some sort of, sword fighting, some swashbuckling is what I'm trying to say. But interesting. But I, after kudos to Mike after 50 years in the broadcast booth for MOX, it's always good to give Mike some good love.
He's been doing the broadcasting almost as long as we've been alive. That's incredible. So
yeah.
So how about I got to feature this other one too? Is Pat Corrales? He's like,
yes.
Are you taking my picture again or what? Come on now. I mean, seriously.
Well, it's interesting because obviously, again, he's got the Phillies pinstripes on there. So we talked about this, and this was a great question that was asked of us the other day on our @BirdBrains Twitter handle. Was how many guys? And we've talked about this before. I always wear my Cardinal cap backwards, but the cards where the guys have the bill of their cap up, so they're if they're traded, you don't see it, so there is no airbrushing, or they do airbrush it out, or there's a lot of photos with guys without their ball caps on. But going back to your point, it's like, how in the world can you even select this as your card of Pat Corrales? Is it just like you walk up to him and you take one photo of the poor guy? Or was it just standard fare for them to say, okay, one with your cap on, one in a pose where you're batting, or in his case as a catcher where he's down in the catcher's position? But why would you not tell Pat to look at the camera? and then secondly, why would you even move forward with printing that? So I'm going to have so much fun. We're going to have so much fun on our Twitter handle with those. great photo of Bob Gibson. Love
Yep.
that one.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So back, obviously back in the day, there's no digital cameras, so it may have been down to something like that because I guess depending upon the player. But obviously looking at the majority of the photos in the card set, they're not the best photos in the world anyway. So I mean,
No. And with Pat Corrales too, got to give him a shout out. He ended up being a major league manager later on down the road. But here's a guy that I always say that among the pitching staff always managed to get overlooked. In fact, the 67 and 68 World Series, Nelly had a lot to do with the success of the Cardinals in those back-to-back World Series years, which, by the way, was only the following 2 seasons, because we're featuring 66 and they won the World Series in 67 and had I feel that they fell apart in 68, but that's another story for another show. But anyway, kind of ho-hum on the set. I'm just trying to figure out, got to give this guy some shout out and some love, because I'm going to really start, along with a lot of people in the St. Louis media, are going to start really stumping hard for this guy, Curt Flood, to be in the Hall of Fame. He did put up some pretty tremendous numbers with his Gold Gloves. The number of times he hit over 300, he took the big stance for free agency, probably took a year off of his life. But anyway, there should be a place in Cooperstown for Curt Flood. Agreed. But so yeah, you showed Shane Deans. I mean, we both have the complete team set featuring the 3 or 4 short print high numbers that we talked about. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody else here. Oh, I did pull the team card. Oh, 7th place. So even.
Well, that's interesting. Well, you know why? Well, that was where they finished in 65, though, correct?
Oh yeah, you're correct. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. My bad. Yep. So yeah,
you're making me think my information was wrong there for a minute.
No, sorry about that. Well, the other thing I was going to point out too is I'm not 100% sure I get this color for the background on the card. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I do like the little cartoon. Oops, wrong side. Little cartoon that they have about each player. That's good. But yeah, the little yellow.
Yes.
At the upper top, in the upper left hand corner. I guess upper right hand when you turn it this way. No, still upper left hand corner. Anyway, is once I put it on camera, it flips it around and messes everything up. But other guys that are in the set, just real quickly, Alvin Jackson, great pitcher, the Granite City guy, Dal Maxville, Ray Sadecki, who was quite the pitcher for us, Tracy Stallard, Kurt Simmons, another really good one. We acquired Bob Skinner. That was a great baseball player for many years with the Pirates. Played on a couple of World Series with them. So some good players there. But yeah, just the cusp of what was going to become, 2 incredibly great years, 67 and 68. So.
Yep.
But other than that, I think that just about covers it for me. Anything else you want to say about the set?
No, I think that's it. Got all the little trivia in there that I came up with for this particular show. Happy birthday in advance to you as well. And
Thank you.
Out there that it's getting ready to celebrate their birthday. So with that, I think you should wrap us up, Brian.
All righty. Hey, thank you everyone for joining us for this episode of Bird Brain 66. And again, got to laugh whenever you're recording and you have any sort of animals or kids. You just never know what you're going to hear or see. So that was a little bit of entertainment for my dog, Jake. So there I gave him a shout out. But you can find us. You can certainly subscribe to this YouTube channel page, which is Bird Brain 66. Telling you, you're missing out if you're not following us on our Twitter account at Bird Brain 66. Many former Cardinals are following us. We've also got a shout out at the beginning of when we started doing this back in spring training from Stubby Clapp. And of course, you can also follow us at Bird Brain 66 on Facebook. So with that, I'm Brian Bretsch. He's my good buddy, best friend, Andy Teague from childhood. Thanks for joining us on this
Thank
episode
you.
of Bird Brain 66.